Recent reporting is raising questions about the events leading up to Beto O'Rourke's 1998 arrest for drunk driving. The Texas Tribune's Jay Root reports two officers who investigated the crash believe O'Rourke tried to leave the scene. O'Rourke has denied those allegations. O'Rourke was asked about the arrest last month during a campaign event in Houston.
Made a terrible mistake driving under the influence of alcohol, and I've shared the details of that event. I've talked to the other person who was in the car with me to hear her perspective, which matches the facts as I remember them. And so I don't know what to say about something that happened 21 years ago, except that I've offered my thoughts on this, my recollection, and stand by that.
In a statement to CBS News about the Texas Tribune report, O'Rourke's campaign said, quote, Beto's DWI is something he has long publicly and openly addressed over the last 20 years at town halls, on the debate stage, during interviews, and in op-eds, calling it a serious mistake for which there is no excuse. This has been widely and repeatedly reported on. The police report shows he was arrested for a DWI, not for leaving or attempting to leave the scene. Let's bring in Jay Root, who investigated that story for the Texas Tribune. Jay, thanks so much for joining us. You spoke with the officer who arrested O'Rourke, as well as the sergeant who signed the incident report. What did they tell you?
Well, they told me that they stand by their work, which was reflected in this report. They looked at the narrative, said, yes, we were these police officers. They don't have a specific recollection of it. But what they did say is they believe what they reported at the time, that an eyewitness said that O'Rourke did try to flee the scene. So that's really what we have. It's really boiled down to a he said, she said.
And what else did you learn, Jay, from going through the police report from that night?
Well, one thing that I thought was curious was that the accident report is missing. So we have the arrest report. We have the DWI arrest report. But when the Anthony Police Department looked in their files, they didn't find what they expected to find, which is the accident report. And that would have the name of this eyewitness who supposedly saw that O'Rourke tried to flee the scene. The other thing is that O'Rourke, in the soundbite that you used, noted that there was a woman in the car with him, and her name, and we found out in a Vanity Fair piece, is Michelle. That's all we have. And I asked the O'Rourke campaign to make her available to me, and that hasn't happened. But she would be another. Obviously, getting the eyewitness would be good. We don't even know if that person knows now that, 21 years ago, a future presidential candidate was involved in this wreck that they witnessed. And then we don't know Michelle's perspective. I would love to interview her. And I asked that, and we still haven't heard back on that.
All right, still some open questions. Jay Root, Jay, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.